Honey, I am on my way home from the postpartum care center. I really wish you could have been there with me during the delivery. And I also wish you could have spent time with me and the baby at the hospital before I went to the postpartum center and the baby went to the NICU. But I heard you didn't even visit the NICU while I was at the center? I'm with the baby now. When are you going to come and see us? Have you realized it's almost been 3 weeks since the baby was born? The two of us haven't even seen each other in almost 4 weeks.
Have you realized that it's peak season for business right now? Well, everyone else is working overtime and working 7 days a week. Should I be the only one to drop out and not help them? I'd be the company slack-off. I'd be the weakest link, and the first to get canned if there were any budget cuts again at the end of the year. More than that, I'm the friggin' owner. Obviously, it will look awful on my part if I skip out like that while all of my employees are working 7 days a week.
But your wife gave birth. This is normally seen as a significant life event. I'm sure that your company, including all of your employees, would completely understand if you skipped 1 day to spend time with your wife and newborn baby.
You're acting like this baby is our firstborn. It's our second. The birth of a second baby is not viewed in the same way. If I made such a big deal about this, I'd also become the laughing stock of the company. Do you think my company is just some place I go to kick back, put my feet up, and hang out? You probably wouldn't understand it, but you have to take responsibility for your duties as a breadwinner. You can't just get a well-paying job these days by simply snapping your fingers. So it's my responsibility to do all that I can to keep it. I have no idea why I'm even trying to explain this to you. You're just an unemployed housewife. You wouldn't know.
Why wouldn't I know? Have you forgotten that I used to make more than you? And I'll be going back to doing just that again when I return to my company next week. And how dare you think that the birth of our first child is any more important than the birth of our second? Do you have any idea what a miracle our second baby is? She spent 3 weeks in the NICU and she's going to be able to go home soon. This baby fought for her life and survived, yet her own father is treating her as she isn't even his own. How can you be so cold?
A big deal.
What?
Do you know how many babies around the world have done that? That's what the NICUs are for. If this was the 1500s or something, then sure, fine. She's a miracle baby. I really had no idea that this baby was gonna be a girl. I even had a dream about it being another boy. This is such a disappointment.
Do you realize what you're saying right now? Are you drunk or high or something? How can you talk like this about your baby? You know damn well that I told you I asked the doctor to tell me the gender before I gave birth. I told you the result, and she'd be a girl. Did you actually completely ignore that because of a stupid dream?
Don't you know how often technology, lab tests, and things like that malfunction and come out wrong? It happens all the time. I really figured the docs were wrong this time too, but dang. Looks like they got it right for once. Unfortunately.
Why are you so obsessed with only having sons? And you already have a son, so what's so awful about our second being a daughter? We now have 1 daughter and 1 son. It's perfect.
Do you seriously think it's good enough to only have 1 son? In this crazy world, there are shootings, bombings, car accidents, diseases, and things happening all the time. If you lose 1 son to something like that, you need to have another one to take his place. So the more sons you have, the better. It has been that way for centuries, and it's still relevant today.
How can you talk so morbidly? I seriously cannot believe this conversation anymore. And what are you, some king afraid of losing his heirs? What kingdom do you even have to pass down to those sons?
My parents' restaurant? I'm going to be opening some new locations soon. I need sons to pass the franchise down to, don't I? There is no way in hell that I will be handing it over to some random stranger.
You have 3 siblings, and they all have 2 sons. Wouldn't they be good enough to be heirs as well? And why the heck does an heir need to be a son anyway? Can our daughter just do the same if she wants to? Jeez, earlier you were making me sound old-fashioned, but look at you now. Whatever. I'm sure you'll change your tune when I come home with the baby later this afternoon. She'll have you wrapped around her little finger the second you see her.
You're coming today? No, don't come here. I don't need another little whining female in this house, so take her to your parents' place and raise her there.
What the hell?
I'm saying I'll raise our son and you'll raise the daughter.
So, are you saying you want a separation? You want to live separately and destroy our marriage and family like this? Our son is only 3 years old. You're suggesting that he should grow up without his mother?
Mothers always favor their daughters over their sons anyway. Isn't it less hurtful for him if he simply doesn't have his mother's love rather than seeing it being stolen by a good-for-nothing sister? I'll raise our son well with the help of my parents, so you go off and live with your own and raise your daughter over there. Oh, and on your way back to your parents' house, stop at the lawyer's office and sign the divorce papers.
Divorce? I know what this is about. You've been having an affair with another woman this whole time, haven't you? I never would have imagined that you would be one of those disgusting scumbag creeps who goes off and plays around with another woman while their wife is pregnant. You're a low-life man-slut!
Whoa, hey now, that is a bit much. I just don't have the time and money to be married to a wench who's gonna have daughters.
You think you're God's gift to woman, but you should know that I worked hard all this time to put up with your ugly mug and dorky weakling appearance while I was apparently conned by your fake personality. The heck with the food service industry. Maybe you should drop that and start pursuing acting, you backstabbing snake. I can't believe I fell for your act for so many years. If it's a divorce you want, then fine. I'm glad. I'll be happy to sign the papers as soon as possible. But just be aware that I am not giving up on my son. I will be fighting for his custody and I will win. I will be the one raising my son to be a much better man than you. He'll be a real man.
Yeah, right. Why would I ever allow my son to be handed to you? And what gives you the slightest idea that you could possibly ever win a custody battle? I guess whatever drugs they gave you at that place hasn't worn off yet. You must still be high on the antidepressants. Bring my son to me right now. Didn't I tell you? I will never hand over my son to you willingly. How dare you take him from me without my permission? You've kidnapped him. I'm gonna report this to the police immediately.
I'm very sure I told you something as well. I will fight for the custody of my son. Kidnapping? You must be joking. He is my son. I am the one who carried him for 9 months in my stomach. How can a mother be accused of kidnapping her own son? And why are you so obsessed with having custody over him when you could go on and have more sons with that other woman? Oh, I get it now. She's infertile, isn't she? Is that why you're fighting back so much custody?
What are you talking about?
You know exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying that useless girl you had your affair with not only sucks at cooking a decent meal for my poor son, she also cannot even give him a half-brother or sister. I guess a slut like that really is only good for sleeping around with, huh?
That's enough. You know nothing about her to be calling her that and making those groundless assumptions. She is an innocent, pure, and good woman. Leave her out of this.
Oh, wow. How romantic you've become. So you two fell in love and wanted to get married for a while now, but I was in the way? Then sign off on the divorce agreement, pay the alimony, and go on your merry way. Just don't leave that girl high and dry when she has a daughter, too. Do you really still think of yourself as a father? I'd be so ashamed if I were you.
Is it a sin to truly fall in love? I can't help it if a younger, prettier, sexier woman came along after I had already agreed to settling with you. Isn't it human nature for any man to be more attracted to a woman like her over something like you? Just because two people get married, it doesn't mean they have to be stuck together for life. That's why they created the divorce. Besides, love never lasts forever anyways. Please tell me you don't believe in that garbage. Everyone gets bad luck, messes up, and makes mistakes in this world. Like how I met you, liked you, and agreed to settle for you because I didn't know I could do better. By the way, most of this is your fault anyways for being so lacking and unattractive. You have got to take responsibility too. I really don't understand why I should have to pay a single penny of alimony.
Oh my God. You had an affair! So you're going to automatically be ruled as being at fault. You're the bad guy, not me. You have to pay alimony. Do you seriously know nothing about how any of this works?
You have no proof that I had an affair, do you?
You just admitted it, you idiot. Actually, I have plenty of evidence.
I've been seeing her since you left to spend your last month of pregnancy at your parents' house. How could you have collected evidence while you were 9 months pregnant and then recovering at the postpartum care center? Don't make me laugh anymore. My stomach hurts.
Your great and wonderful saint girlfriend gave me all the proof I need.
What?
Oh, wait, no, she didn't give it to me. Actually, she sold it to me. I told her I'd give her $1,000 for some photos of the two of you together. She sent them to me within minutes.
What? No way. There is no way that she would do that. There's no reason for her to do such a thing.
What do you mean there's no reason? She said she was planning on breaking up with a plain and boring guy like you anyway. She was just using you for money and gifts this whole time. So I pitched in an extra $1,000 and now her business is finished with you.
Did she really say that? I don't believe it.
You brought a woman to her home while I was giving birth to our second child and being treated for severe postpartum depression. You had an affair during all of this with my poor firstborn son in the house, starting to think that that piece of crap tramp was his real mother. You are the one that no one can believe here. I heard an earful from your own mother, by the way. She told me that little wench couldn't even change a diaper without her help. She would go running to her crying and all freaked out daily because our son had a poopy diaper and she was afraid to change it. She gave up on cooking meals, so she had been ordering takeout every day and getting rid of the packages before you could see them. And on top of that, this whole time, your mother, that your conniving gold-digging mistress was, my son's nanny. You should have seen the look on her face when she came and met me at the postpartum center and I told her the cold, hard truth. I thought she'd be staying in the hospital next. Then again, I can't help but laugh at the karma in all of this. Your mother was always such a witch to me. She always dropped in unannounced while I was pregnant and still trying to take care of my son. She'd go on and on about everything I wasn't doing right and how nothing in the house was up to her standards. She was a nightmare of a mother-in-law to have, and boy am I glad to be rid of her now. But do you really think there's any way that any other woman would put up with her? If that mistress of yours ever did the slightest thought of settling down with you, it's obvious your mother ruined that possibility. I don't blame your little tramp for wanting to get out of that hell pronto.
You better stop insulting my mother. She's the only one who cares about my happiness and wants the best for me. She's a good mother who thinks love is the most precious thing in the world. Can you blame her for trying to fix all of your faults to try and make my life better?
You said she thinks love is precious? Didn't she abuse you as a child and spend a fair amount of time in the slammer after your teachers found out?
What are you talking about now?
Is a mother who beats up her son to the point where he goes to school with a black eye and bruises a loving mother? There's no way I am ever letting that witch get near my son again. By the way, I wasn't planning on using this, but it looks like the rotten apple didn't fall far from the tree because I saw that you've been mistreating our son. I saw you throw out his toys just because he didn't clean them up the second you told him to. You scream at him all the time too for the dumbest reasons, and then your mother slapped him 10 times saying that he was crying too loud. Should I pull that card out for all to see?
What? Wait, how do you know about that? And how do you have proof what happened at the house?
She threw the recording into our deal for an extra $1,000. You two had no idea she recorded it on her phone. She said she was originally holding onto it for insurance just in case you got all clingy or tried to threaten her when she broke up with you later. Instead, she sold it to me, and I've been holding on to it as my final playing card in case the custody ruling starts to sway in your favor. But I couldn't stand holding on to it anymore, so the cops have it now. So that little slut made $3,000 off of this. She makes quite good business, I'd say.
What? That crazy witch actually did that? After she said she truly loved me and would do her best to try and raise my son as well? I can't believe this.
What you really wouldn't believe is that you were even human if you saw yourself in this video. Who would have known such a seemingly useless wench would be so helpful in the end? Well then, how about quietly signing the papers and handing over my son's custody along with $20,000 in alimony?
What? $20,000?
Oh, and you'll be paying child support for 2 kids now, so you better start budgeting, well, so you can pay it on time. Oh, and with the child abuse charge, there's a chance you'll be in jail, so maybe you just better send it all to me now in a lump sum.
What? Why would I go to jail for something like that?
Do you really think what you did is not a crime? It's a serious crime. It goes on your record, and you go on a list with all the other disgusting beasts who stoop so low as to mistreat a child. Your reputation is going to be completely ruined. Do you understand now? Be a good boy and do as the officers say. I'm sure they'll be there soon. After that, I divorced my ex-husband and won the custody rights of both of my children, and I am receiving plenty of alimony and child support. I won the house too, but I couldn't stand to spend 1 minute there, so I sold it quickly for a very pretty price. My ex got absolutely nothing from our agreement except for his car and old clothes. He can't even use those things currently though, because both he and his old hag of a mother are currently spending their days behind bars for what they did to my son. I have no intention of ever forgiving either of them for what they did to my son while I wasn't there. I currently have my son in therapy. I will do my absolute best to make sure that he does not grow up scarred by what they did. And I will definitely find a good, honest man to show both of my children what a real father is. Thank you so much for watching and listening to the story. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more.